Okay, for Thursday's packet, we're doing these 3 pages, and I'm going to go through some of the numbers with you, and you'll do the rest. Here are some examples, which I did go over on both Monday and Tuesday. So we did basic radicals where we had numbers under, and now we're going to start adding variables to it. So if I have the square root of 9b squared, on this one, you just, for the number, you take the square root of it. For the variable, it's basically dividing. So on this one, what is the square root of 9? Well, it's 3. And if you need to put a square right here, you can. That's a square root. What is 2 divided by 2? Well, it's 1. Now, the way the book is going to do it is they're going to put, again, this in absolute value bars. Why is that an absolute value? Because when you have an even root and your answer ends up with an odd exponent above your variable, then you put the absolute value bar. That was something we learned. Okay, let's keep going. This is a square root of a to the 8th, b to the 18th. So on this one, I'm going to do 8 divided by 2. It's basically just dividing. So there are 4 of those. And what's 18 divided by 2? There are 9 of those. Again, the way the book teaches it, b to the 9th, because it's an even root and we ended up with an odd exponent, we need to put it in absolute value because you can't have a negative under the root is the reason. Okay, now I have an odd root. I'm going to do a cube root. So none of those rules with the absolute value bars matter. I have negative 125, a to the 3rd. You can take the cube root of a negative. You cannot take an even root of a negative. So a cube root, yes, we're good to go. So what is the cube root of negative 125? Well, it's going to be negative 5. And if you need to, go to your little cube chart, like 1 cube, 2 cube, what is 3 cube, and keep going. 4 cube is, I think, 64, and 5 cubed was 125. Okay, so this was that little chart that I had put on yesterday's video. All right, now our A's, what is 3 divided by 3? Well, it's just 1. Okay, and again, since we have an odd root, no absolute value bars are needed. Okay, let's do a few more. If I have the 4th root of x to the 20th, y to the 28th, so I'm dividing them both by 4. Okay, so I get x to the 5th, y to the 7th. Oh, and guess what? Since they both end up odd with an even root, I'm going to put them in absolute value bars. Okay, so let me look at some of the sheet with you so I can make sure that we've gone over everything. I'm going to write my answers. Let's see, I'll have you do some of the odds. So let's just do some of these evens. Number 26, that is the square root of y to the 6th. So what is 6 divided by 2? It's y to the 3rd, and it really would be the absolute value of y to the 3rd. Again, this is just our book that does that. I found that some of the other things don't. So let me just see, that is number 25. Nope, just kidding, 26. Yeah, so we'll leave it like that. All right, either way is fine, but I do want you to try and get used to doing absolute value. All right, number 28. Okay, it's an odd root, so I don't even have to worry about absolute value. What is 20 divided by 5? Well, that is 4. That's your answer for 28. So go ahead and write these down, okay? You're going to do 29. Let's see. And I think you can handle 30 as well. I think, but go ahead and work all those out, even the ones that I did. Okay, now let's go to the bottom part. I want to make sure I go over some of these with you because I don't know if I did any like this. The opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. So right here, well, I won't do that one. I'm going to make up some like it. Let's say that I have the square root of a squared. Well, that's just a. See how the square root and the square basically kind of cancel each other out? It's like they divide out to 1. Okay, so if I have the square root of a plus b, and that is squared, what happens is the squares cancel out. So the square root and this square cancel out, and I would get a plus b is my answer. So your answers on 31 and 32 are just very basic. Let me do another one. The square root of 10x minus 8y squared. Well, your square root and your square are going to cancel out, and you get 10x minus 8y. Okay, those are inverse type functions, so square roots and squares cancel out. Okay, so here you are to number 33. I'll do one like that. The square root of x squared, let me make one up, 36. That should be, I think, 12x. I hope I did this right. So I can't, not all that is squared, but watch. Let me factor it. I know this is yuck. Okay, do x and x. And what times what is 36 that adds up to 12? How about 6 times 6? 6 times 6 is 36. 6 plus 6 is 12. Well, what do you notice you have under here? 2 of these. So another way we can write it is the square root of x plus 6 squared. What happens to the square root and the square? Oh yeah, they cancel out. So my answer is x plus 6. Let me do another one like number 33, okay, because you're going to do 33. What if I did the square root of a squared, and over here I'm going to get 81, and this is going to be 18a. So we have to factor. I'm going to do a and a. And what times what is 81 that adds up to 18? How about 9 and 9? So I get a plus 9 squared. What is the square root of a plus 9 squared? What happens to the 2's? Well, they would cancel out, and you get a plus 9, because it's basically dividing. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. Oh, I only have one of those. Okay, so a square and a square root are going to cancel each other out. 34, I'll do that one with you. Make sure you write it on your paper. So 34, it looks worse because we have a number out front, so we think greeny glasses, but it's not. It's perfect squares. Okay, I'm willing to bet. I'll just do my 2 of these, and I'm going to have 4x and 4x. Now, what times what is 25? It's a perfect square. It's going to be 5, but they need to be negative. And while I know, oh, and a y. I know you're thinking, well, negative 5 plus negative 5 does not add up to negative 40. But I promise with these 4s, it would. Okay, this one, there was a shortcut, and I don't think we ever went over it. But this would be, I promise if you FOILed this out, you would get negative 40xy in the middle. So what happens is you get 4xy minus 5y squared. Again, we have 2 of those. So what is the square root of 4x minus 5y squared? Your square root and your square cancel out, and it's 4x minus 5y. So you're going to write that on the line over there. So that's your first page. Let's see what we have on our next one. Okay, so this one is kind of like what you did a little bit yesterday. So let me go backwards to some of those problems. So we've done some now with variables. Yeah, we've got variables coming up again. So let's look at, what if I had the square root of 32? Okay, so the square root of 32. Well, that's not a perfect square because neither is 24, neither is 56. I'm betting 294, I'm 72. None of these are perfect squares. So again, what you have to do is find a perfect square that goes into it. So for this one, you're looking on that paper from yesterday where you have a bunch of them listed. Like here's our perfect squares. Let me write them down. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, 9 times 9, 10 times 10. Let me go ahead and go up 11 times 11, 12 times 12. Okay, that may be enough. Okay, so 32. What of these numbers goes into 32? 16. Okay, even if one of these smaller ones does, you want to try and find the biggest one. 16 is the biggest one, okay? And it's 16 times 2. What is the square root of 16? Oh, that's 4. But let's leave our 2 underneath, okay? So that is simplified. All right, let's look at number 2 together. 2 has the square root of 56. So now I'm thinking, okay, what number goes into 56? Let me pause for a second. Okay, so 56, I'm not sure, so I could try different numbers. What's 56 divided by 25? Nope. Divided by 16? Nope. Divided by 9? Doesn't work. Okay, what about 56 divided by 4? So 56 divided by 4 is 14. So what I've got is 4 times 14. What's the square root of 4? Well, that's 2. So notice that one has moved here on the outside. So now we have 2 times 2. This 2, I've been bringing it down. What's 2 times 2? Oh, that's 4. So that is the square root of 56. That's the simplified form of it. I don't want decimals, okay? So for number 3, just go through and try and divide 294. Start at bigger numbers and work backwards. If you start at a lower number, it might not give you the right answer, okay? And then you can try number 4. I'll do number 5 with you. Okay, so number 5, we have 7 square root of 175. So 175, let's see, I'm betting it's going to be 25. And it is. It is 25 times 7. Okay, so all I did was 175 divided by 25 to make sure it works. Now, what's the square root of 25? That's 5, so I'm going to bring it out. Now I still have to multiply. See that 7? I've been bringing it down. Okay, I've been bringing these down until I pull this one out. Now, what's 7 times 5? Oh, that's 35. That's my answer. That's what I would put on my blank. Okay, so make sure you've done all of that page, and let's keep going. Let's look at our last page. Oh no, hold on. This is messing up. Okay. Let's look at our last page. Let me do that real quick. Okay, this one, hold on. Okay, so when you get to the third page of today's, this is where you'll notice a big difference in our variables. They don't match what we're dividing by. For instance, this one has a 5, that's a square root, or a 2. Well, 5 and 2, they don't divide out evenly. So on these, this is where we kind of have to split up our variables a little bit. So let me do some problems. Let me get a sheet out. Some problems that are a little different, like the square root of, this one has numbers and variables, but that's fine, of 20x to the third. So first of all, let me take my number. So this is what I like to do. I like to just write it all out, and I've got to look back at my paper. Okay, what were my perfect squares again? Okay, that's going to be 4 times 5. And I always like to write my perfect square first. Now on this one, 3 is not divisible by 2. So let me split that up. How about I split that up into 2 x's and 1 more? Isn't that 3 x's right there? It is. So now some of these things can be taken out of the root. The rest of them will be left over. So what is the square root of 4? Well, that's 2. I'm done with that one. Okay, I'm going to leave a little space. My 5 has to stay under my root. Can't do anything with that. Okay, got that one. X squared, I can do that. What's 2 divided by 2? That's just x. Okay, it's just 1x. I factored out there, or basically. And then I have an x left over. So that's my answer. 2x square root of 5x. And we're not going to do any of the absolute value bars or anything like that. Okay, we're not even going to worry about any of that anymore on these. I say that. Maybe there's a few of them. Then let's do, how about this one? The cube root, okay, so this is a cube root of 81 x to the third. Okay, so on this one, I have the cube root of 81, so I'm going to look under my cube roots. And what number goes into 81? And I'm betting it's 27. So 81 divided by 27, and it is. It's 3. So I'm going to do 27 times 3. See, my 81, it's still right here. 27 times 3. Now my x does divide out evenly, 3 by 3. So what is the cube root of 27? Well, that was 3. Bring out my x. And then what's left under my little cube root is that 3. Let's do one where it doesn't divide out. 54y to the 10th. Okay, the cube root of 54y to the 10th. So again, I'm looking at my little list, and let's see. Does 54 divide by 27? It does, twice. So I'm going to do 27 times 2. And again, this is telling me to look in the cube root column. Now, 10 is not divisible by 3, so I need to go down a little bit. What is another number that is divisible by 3? How about 9? How about we have 9 of those and 1 more? See how I still have 10 y's written? This just makes it easier to see what to bring out. So what's the cube root of 27? 3. Done with that one. I'm going to leave my 2. What is the cube root of y to the 9th? So you divide. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then leave that y underneath. So I've done all 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, on this one, why was it x to the 1? Well, what was 3 divided by 3? 1. Okay, I didn't have a 1 there, but I just put it. It's an understood 1. All right, let's look at a few from your paper and see what we've got. Let's look at, I'll do number 9. I'm sure that one looks kind of scary. Okay, so this is a square root. Oh, there it is. This is a square root. So what I'm going to do is, I hope all these have been under the paper the whole time. So I'm going to write it down. Let's see. X squared, y to the 7th, z to the 11th. Okay, so x squared divisible by 2. I'm good to go on that one. Let me just write it like it is. Okay, y to the 7th, not divisible by 2. So I'm going to write it as 6 and 1 more. Because 6 is divisible by 2. Okay, that is still 7 y's. 6 and 1 more. Okay, z to the 11th, so I'm going to do 10 and 1 more. Now, I'm going to bring out what I can and leave what I need to. Okay, so x, the 2 and the divided by 2 is just 1, so I'm going to bring out that 1x. Y to the 6th, what is 6 divided by 2? That's a third power, okay. Y to the third power. Oh, that y is going to stay. Can't divide it out. What's 10 divided by 2? That is 5. Got that one? And that one also has to stay. So that's your answer for what number was that one? Number 9. Okay, let's look at one where we have some other variables already out there. Let's look at number 10. And I'll let you do number 11. So number 10 says a squared b square root of a to the third b to the 8th. So this is a square root. Don't forget we're just leaving all this out here. Okay? So I'll write that down. Now, this is not, this is not divisible by 2. So let's split that up into 2 and one more. So I still have 3 a's written down. This one is divisible by 2, so we're good to go. I'll write my a squared b, and now let's divide out. What is this a squared? What is 2? Let me zoom out some more. 2 divided by that 2 is 1, so I'm going to bring out 1a. Done with that one. I have to leave that a. And what is 8 divided by 2? 4. b to the 4th. Now, what do you notice? This looks like a jumbled up mess. I have a's and b's out here, so I need to combine them. So I have 3 a's out here, and I have 5 b's out here, and I have my little square root of a left over. So that's how that one would simplify. Okay, let's do some more. How about I do number 14? That one looks kind of confusing. So I've got 8x square root of 180 x to the 4th, y to the 6th, z to the 9th. Okay, so the first thing I know is, all right, this is a square root. There's an understood 2 there. Okay, so I'm going to divide all these by 2. I need to change my z. I can tell. Now, the 180, to me, that's going to be the hard part. So I'm going to have to figure out what is the perfect square that goes into 180. I think it's 36. I just tried it. 180 divided by 36 is 5. So, and again, I would just go through that little chart that you have written down. Start at the bigger numbers. So I'm just going to change that. Let's bring down 8x. Okay, do our square root. And I said, instead of writing 180, write 36 times 5. I can leave x to the 4th. I can leave y to the 6th. But my z, instead of writing 9, I'm going to write 8 and another one. So now everything is, I can take the square root of everything. Whatever I can't take the square root of, well, I'll leave it underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to write down my 8 times my x, and I'm going to add a bunch more stuff to it. So, or multiply a bunch more stuff. So what's the square root of 36? Well, that's 6. That goes out here. My 5 has to stay. I cannot take the square root of that. I can take the square root of that. What's 4 divided by 2? Well, that's 2. So I'm going to take 2 of those out. What's 6 divided by 2? Well, that's 3. Can take those out. What's 8 divided by 2? Well, that's 4. Take those out. And then I have to leave my z. Now, let's make sure, is there anything I can combine? Okay, yes, I see 2 things. First of all, what's 8 times 6? Well, that's 48. And then I have 1, 2, 3 x's. So I'm going to write x to the 3rd, y to the 3rd, z to the 4th, square root of 5z. So I have simplified number 14. Okay? So I'm hoping that that helps. Remember, you are just dividing out the variables, okay? And you are just trying to find the square roots or the cube roots, okay? I think that's all that I have for now on this page. So that should finish you out on this page, and then you'll turn this one in. I've done several of them, so you'll just finish out the rest. Let me see if I needed to say anything on this one. It says, A radical is in blank if the radical contains no factors that can be written. Okay, this one's just going to be simplified form. Okay. And I believe on this one, it just says if both of these are real numbers, then just bring that one down. These are your two answer choices, okay? So you should have been able to figure that one out, I think, on your own. But this one is simplified form, so this one you just bring it down. Okay, so that is all for today. When you get done with that, you can turn it in. All right.